Hello, good afternoon. I am going to start the video related to Visual Basic. We have already seen how to connect front end and back end in the previous lab session. So today I will be explaining how to make use of DB Grid in Visual Basic and how to generate reports without SQL and with SQL. So I will share the window and then I will be explaining the process, how we are going to do it. Is the screen visible, madam? Yeah. No. Okay. Stop sharing. You're able to see the screen, madam? Now, is the Visual Basic window visible, madam? Okay. Thank you. So in the previous class, we have seen how to make use of data control. This is the screen which you are going to see here, which we have already discussed. How to see the first record, next record, previous record, last record, how to add a new record, how to save it, how to delete it, how to exit, and how to refresh the database. We have already seen this using data control. Then we have also seen the ADODC control. So I have put a command button here, and if I open this, the command which is written is frm adodc.show, which means that from the form of data control, it will go to the form of ADODC. So if I run the particular project of data control form, if I click on the button of ADODC, it will go to the form of ADODC. Let us try to see that and go for ADODC data control. First, I will go to project properties, and I will make the form data control as the startup object. Already it is form data control only, and I will say OK. So if I run that particular project, the form with data control, that is FRM data control, will be open. So I will run the project. As you already know, I will go to machine data source, select mydb, and then as a data source name which we have created already in control panel, then I say OK. Then it will ask for the username. Our username for SQL is B1 and B1. So I will type that small b1. Depending upon your system, whichever is the username, you have to write that username. So here you are able to see the data control form. Now already we have done this, so I will go back to the next form, which is ADODC form. So when I click on ADODC form, you can see that ADODC form is displayed. So whatever code I have showed now is to go from one form to another form. So to go from one or navigate from one form to another form, you use a command button, write the name of the form dot show. It will go to that particular form. So already ADODC also we have finished. Now I will come out of this particular form because I have to explain DB grid. So from ADODC we are going to DB grid form, which is the command button DB grid. So I'll come out of this particular forms and I will show you. I will show you how to create a form with DB grid. So let us open this form. So you can see that already we have discussed with respect to the command buttons, labels, and the data control with respect to any of these database. So here already we have discussed about label, text boxes, and these command buttons. Now to make use of DB grid, it is not directly available in the toolbox. For that, what you have to do is go to project, go to components. So in that components, you have Microsoft Data Bound Grid Control 5.0 SP3. Are you able to see the screen? So here you have Microsoft Data Bound Grid Control, which is called as DB Grid, and you have to check in. So already it is checked in the checkbox, and I say OK. So which means that you are including the data bound grid control into your toolbox. Okay. So as soon as I do that, your DB grid control will be available. This is the DB grid tool which is available in the toolbox. So you double click on that, and it will be available in the screen. So you can see the DB grid here. What are different properties you are supposed to set here? I will tell you. So before setting the property with respect to DB grid, you should add one data control. So if you are using two DB grids, you should use two data controls. If you are using one DB grid, you are using one data control. So as I am using one DB grid only with respect to the employee, what I am doing is I am having one data control in this particular form. So you already know how to use a data control. So already know that this is a data control tool. You double click on that, so that data control appears in the form. Now already we know that we are going to set the name of the data control. I have kept as it is, that is data 1, and important property with respect to data control is connect. So I have to type capital ODBC. You already know that because it is not available in the list. You have to type as capital ODBC. Then in your record source property, when you click, it is going to ask for the machine data source. So you have to give MyDB, which you have created in the control panel. Then it will ask for username password, that is B1B1 as usual. And once that is done, you can select the name of the table which is available in the user. So as well you can type as b1.employee if I am using for employee database. So I will type here as b1.employee. It will be available in the list also. If you type and if it gives error, it means that there is no proper connectivity. So you have to check with respect to connectivity once again with respect to data source name. Otherwise everything will be fine, and then you have to come back to your connect with respect to ODBC. We have set the data source. So here you have b1.employee. Now you have to use this interface for your DB grid. So I will go to DB grid. Name of the DB grid I have kept as it is. You can always name it separately. If I want to name it as EMP grid, I can give the name as EMP grid also, but I have kept it as DB grid 1. Now I have to set some property related to the object or the interface which I have used for DB grid, that is your data control. So for that I have to select the data source. That data source is data 1 in my case because that is the data control name. So I am going to select the data source. Once I have selected that data source, I will come up and then allow add new true, allow arrow true, allow delete true, allow update true. All these I should make true, so that whenever there are modification in the data in the backend, automatically your grid also is going to take care of it. Okay. Now these are the important properties. Let me see any other properties I need to check with respect to the data control or DB grid. So all these properties are important. Other than that, I need not have to specify anything. So once you have set these properties, that is specifying the table with respect to the data control. So I have specified that as an employee, And then for my DB grid, I have specified the data source as data1. So automatically the column names of that particular employee table will appear in the DB grid. You can see here F name, L name, DNO and SSN are the attributes of employee table that will appear in the DB grid. Now let us try to run this particular form. So when I want to see only the DB grid form, as I told, I can go to project 1 properties. I will select this FRM as FRM DB grid and then say OK. So it will open the DB grid form automatically. So I will run it. It will ask for the machine data source. It is my DB and I will say OK. Then my username is B1. Password is B1 as per my SQL. Then I say OK. So now you can see that instead of seeing one by one record on the top in the text boxes, it is very easy to see the records in the form of table, which will be very convenient to view the records. So you can also move down with respect to the data records. You can move up, okay, and then if any of the record is deleted, you can automatically see that the record pointer moves to the next record. This is the advantage of database grid. I think this is clear with respect to DB grid. Now I will stop run this particular form. Now I am going to open another project which will explain how to generate a report. One will be a general report, another will be using SQL for one table, another will be with respect to join of two tables and create a report using SQL command. So how do we do that? We are going to see in another project. So I will close this project and I'll stop sharing. Now I will open the project which I want to show. Now I will share the screen related to the report. Is the screen visible, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Is the VB screen visible, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So here we are going to have a form for the report. So I have created one form, FRM ERP. The name of the form which I have written is FRM EMP REP. That is, I am creating a form for displaying the reports. So for any report to display, I should have some command buttons. So as I have generated 3 reports, I have 3 command buttons in the form. So let me show you what I have written in that particular code window for each of the reports. So first particular command button is to generate a general report for the employee table. So it has to open that particular report. So the name of that report which I have given is EMP REP. I will be discussing upon that particular report generation. So the name of that particular report is EMP REP. So I will type that and dot show will be visible. So it will show that particular report. Similarly, the 2 more will be with respect to SQL command. So let us see how to create or generate a report. So before doing that, we should always have a DE, that is designer environment. So for that, what we have to do is go to project and add data environment. I am not doing that because already I have created a data environment. So go to project and go to add data environment. If it is not available here, you have to go to references project references, and you have to select Microsoft data environment instance 1.0. It should be chosen. Otherwise, you will not be able to see that in the list. Already it has been checked here, that is Microsoft Data Environment Instance 1.0. Along with that, you have Microsoft Data Report Designer V6.0, that is version 6.0. Only when it is selected, you are able to see that in the list. So already it is checked in my case. So I am able to see that project add data environment. So I have to click on add data environment. So once I do that, it will open this data environment. So here, this is what it will show. It is going to show in this form. All these will not be there. Whatever is below available, EMPCon and DPTCon, EMP DPTCon will not be there. Only here the name will be as the DE, that is designer. The designer data environment 1 will be displayed. But I am naming this as DMP, which you can see that in the name property of data environment, I have named it as capital D E EMP, that is data environment EMP I have made. Okay. Now what I am supposed to do is, I am going to right click on that and add connection. I am not doing this here. So I will do add connection. So once I do that add connection, it will say connection 1 here. So in that particular connection, I will name it as EMPCon. Hello? So I am going to type there as EMPCon, which is the name of the connection. So if I want, let me show it once. So let us say add connection. So you can see it will show it as connection 1. Okay. Now you are going to type the name of the connection, which I have typed as EMPCon. I think this is clear. Similarly, with respect to connection source, you have to click on connection source. One second. Sorry. In that connection, you right click on the connection and go to properties. Okay, it is not directly coming in the property window. You have to right click on the connection and click on properties. Once you do that, you are supposed to specify the data source name already, which we have created. It is SoumyaDB, because this is with respect to SoumyaDB is the data source name which we have created for this particular project. So I will select SoumyaDB there, and then username I will type it as B1. Password also I will type it as B1, and then say test connection. So it should say test connection succeeded. Then only your connection is achieved. Then you say OK. So as soon as you do that in the property by right clicking on the connection, you can see the provider name and what is the user and so on and so forth. Okay. So that is what you are supposed to have. Then after doing the connection, you have to also create add command. Okay. So here you can see I have created one connection. I have named it as EMPCon. I have right clicked on the EMPCon and specified the provider, that is the data source name along with the username password of SQL, and then I have created one command. So when I say add command, I will get a command. So here you can see when I click on this, the command which I have created is EMPCom. So I will show this for the connection one. So I will right click and say add command. So you can see that name will be command 1. So whatever name I want, I can give there in the name property of my command property of the given option. For example, command 1 is there. If I want to change, I'll go to name and change it. So that's what I have done for command. So I have changed the name command 1 as EMPCom, that is EMP command. Okay. Now I am also specifying which particular connection I am going to use. So that particular property will be available in connection name. So if you have multiple connections in the designer environment, you can choose any one of them. Initially, I would have created only one connection, so it will show only EMP con. In this case, I have four connections, that is EMP con, DPT con, EMP DPT con, and connection 1. So that's why it is showing all four of them. So initially it will show only one connection. So you have to choose the connection which you want to use for that particular report generation. So EMP com is the connection name. Then I want to make use of the command type as table. So in the command type, I will choose ADCMD table. It is indicating that I want to make use of a table with respect to the given connection and command. Then in the command text, I can choose the table name. So I can as well do it in the right click property with respect to com. So I go to EMP com, go to properties. So in this particular dialog box, I can see that command name is EMP com already, which I have named it, and connection I can choose, as I can choose here also I can choose. It is better to choose in this particular dialog box. So I select EMP con. Then in the database object, I select table, because I am directly generating a generalized report. So I will choose table. Once I choose the table, it will ask which table you want. As I want employee table, I will choose B1.employee. And then I will say apply and OK. So what will happen is all the attributes related to that particular employee will be available. So if I click here, I will get a plus symbol as soon as I choose the table for that particular command. So when I click on this plus, I can see all the attributes of my table: F name, L name, DNO, and SSN. So this is the first step with respect to creating a report. That is, you are creating a data environment. That is nothing but the designer folder. Once we have created data environment, now you have to add the data report. So go to project, go to add data report. So I am not going to add it because already I have added. So click on add data report. So automatically one screen related to department, employee report will be displayed. So I can show you this. So here you can see that you are able to see only the blank one. Here you can see the value attributes with respect to the table of employee. But if I say, let us say project, add data report, you will see only the blank screen like this. Okay. So only thing is, now what we should do with respect to this blank screen is important. So what I should do, I will close this. I will not use this because already I have a designer. So DEMP is my designer window. So this is my report which I am using, EMP report. So I will resize the screen so that both of my screens are visible. Which screen? The data report screen as well as my data environment screen, that is DEMP. What I do now is I will select my com. I will select EMP com and drag it into my detail section. Whatever DEMP com is there, I will drag it here. So when I drag, I will get two F names, two L names, two DNOs, and two SSN. So whichever are in the left hand side are the labels. So I will put all the labels in the page header. For example, you can see F name, L name, DNO, SSN are the labels. I will drag them and put it in the header. And the remaining same values are with respect to the data values of the database that will remain in the detail section. I will align them accordingly with respect to the column names, F name below F name, L name below L name, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now in my data report, it is very important to set some properties. So I have named the data report here as EMP REP. Okay. And then I have given the caption as EMP report. And very important property with respect to data report is DE, that is nothing but data environment. So I have to select which data environment I am using for the data source of data report. So I have to select DEMP, and then I have to also select the data member. that is which command I am using. So for the first report, the command which I am using is empcom. So I will be choosing the empcom. Now let us see how to run this particular report. As soon as we do this, we can run the report. So I want to see the only the report form. So FRM, EMP, REP only is there. So I say OK, and I will run this particular form. So as I told you, I will be having the command buttons for every report. So for the first report, that is EMP report, I will click on this. It will ask for the username, password. I will click on OK, and I can see all the records of my employee: F name, L name, DNO, SSN, first record, second record, third record, and so on and so forth. All the records I will be able to see in my screen. This is how we can generate a general report. I hope you understood how to create a general report. Now similarly, we will see how to generate a report using SQL. Okay, so I will go to data environment as usual. I will add connection. Once again, I will go to DEMP. I will add a connection. So I have created one connection called DPTCon. The name of the connection is DPTCon. Again, as usual, what I do, I will right click on this and go to properties, and then I select the data source name. It is SoumyaDB, and then username, password. I will test the connection as usual, and I will say OK. Now I will also right click and create an add command. With respect to the connection, I will also specify the add command. As we know that for connection, important properties are name, then the connection source, which we are able to see here as the provider MSDA SQL with respect to data source name. Now once I add the command, you can see that the name of the command which I have given is dptcom. Okay. Now I am not going to select the table. I am writing the SQL query. So I will right click on this command, go to properties. In the properties, I will see that the command name is dptcom, which is correct. And the connection, there are multiple connections now. empcon and dptcon will be there. So I am doing this SQL query for dptcon. So I will select dptcon connection. Now I am choosing SQL statement. I want to retrieve all the attributes of department table. So I will type here as select star from department, but I will not put a semicolon here, and say OK. This is how you are going to write the command in SQL statement. So close this. You can see that in command text, you are able to see select star from department, and the connection name is dptcon. All these are important properties with respect to com. So as soon as you have written the command text, you can see that SQL you can see on the command text. So for dptcom, as I have used command text, it will show it as SQL, and also it will show me plus symbol. So when I click on this plus symbol, all the attributes of the department tables will be displayed. Now as usual, you create one more report, that is project add data report. So I am going to have DPT report with respect to department. As I told, you have to select the DPT.com, just drag into detail section, and whatever on the left hand side are the labels, you drag it on the page header exactly corresponding to that. Wherever your attribute values will be displayed, you put in the detail section. This is the procedure you have to apply for SQL command for one particular table. Okay. Now let us run the project. I want to generate a report with respect to department report. So it will ask the username, password. Click on OK. It is asking again. Click on OK. Now you can see the data values related to department table, NOD name and the location, and all the values whichever you have entered in the database. This is how you create a data report using SQL command. So you are typing an SQL command and getting the report. The third report which we are going to see is with join condition between two tables. Okay. So again, as I told you, in my form of report, I have the third command button, which is emptdpt report. So which particular form I want to display? empdpt rep.show. That is nothing but the report which I want to display when I run that, when I click on the command button. That is what I say. Now let us go to data environment again. So here again, I will add one more connection. So on the DEMP, I will right click, then I will say add connection. So I will get one connection. I have named it as EMP-DPT-CON. Okay, so I have named it here EMP-DPT-CON. As usual, right click on the property. Again, set the data source. Sorry, here for this also we are going to use connection string. So what I am going to do is I will not use the table. I am going to make use of the SQL command. So and I am going to write the SQL command, or I will be making use of the build SQL build. Okay. So what I will do is I will use the connection string. I will go to build machine data source, then DB, and then say OK. Then it will ask for the username password B1 test connection succeeded, and then say OK. So DSN is DB, user ID is B1, password is B1. Now you say OK. Once the connection is done with respect to the two tables which we want, I have to add the command. So right click, add command. So I have added the command called empdptcom. So again in the right click properties, you have command name as empdptcom, connection name, you have multiple connections, so you have to choose the proper one, that is empdptcom. Now here we are not writing the SQL command. Here we are going to go to SQL builder. In the previous step for one table, we typed the command, that is select star from department no semicolon. Here what I am doing, I am going to SQL builder. Third I click on OK. The data view and the designer window. One second, it is opening. So now here you can see that you have a designer window where you can see the column names of the tables which we have specified with respect to the table. So for example, this is my design window, okay, and then this is my data view. So earlier what happens, this will be blank. When I want to have a design, this will be blank, it will not be there. So what I do here is, with respect to my data view, I have one empdpt-con which I am going to use now. I click the plus symbol here. In that I will have tables. So I want the two tables to join. So I want department table and I want employee table here. So what I will do, I will select department from the table list and drag it here. Similarly, I will select employee from the list and drag it here. So automatically what happens, it will join the primary key with respect to department where the DNO is the primary key, and then it will connect to the DNO of the employee table automatically. And then it will show the column names and which are the table which has that particular column will also be displayed. Now, whichever attributes you want to display, you have to choose those attributes. As I want all the attributes in my report, I have chosen all of them, all the columns I am selecting. So automatically as soon as I choose the column names, it will automatically get typed. You need not have to type here. It will automatically get typed as employee.fname, employee.lname, and so on and so forth, with separate department. So once this is done, your design is ready. So once your SQL command is ready with respect to your tables and the columns, you will get SQL and you get the plus symbol, and all the attributes of employee and department are displayed in the list. Same procedure now for the data report, project add data report. So my data report is EMPDPT report, attributes into detail section, all the labels you put in the header, all the attribute values where you should display the value should be in the detail section. Okay, very important part in this data report is you should give the name for the data report. You should specify the data source, that is DEMP. You should specify the data member, which is the com. EMPT DEPT com is our command which we are using for this particular report. These are the important properties you have to set in the data report. So now let us run this particular project. And the last one, I am clicking, then say OK. OK. So here you can see all the attributes of employee and department which are joined together. You are able to see the attributes with respect to F name, L name, SSN, DNO, DNAME and DLocation. There is overlapping of this because in the design you have to adjust that labels and the values properly, then you will be able to see. You can make it more creative by making by drawing a table, making it colorful as background. All those things you can do it because that is not the technical part, so we are not explaining that portion. Hope everybody has understood how to generate the reports. So this is what you are supposed to do in your project also. We are sharing this video with all of you so that you can use this particular technique for creating or generating report. Thank you all. I'll stop run and then close the project. I don't want to save the changes, so I say no. I hope all of you understood. So we'll stop sharing the window. I'll stop recording also.